Good evening. The four pillars of democracy are legislature, bureaucracy, judiciary, and the media. What do you consider is the most important one? To me, it is the judiciary. And what do you consider is the most, which should be voicing the voice of the people? It should be in the media. What do you consider should be having the maximum amount of inclusiveness? It should be these two. It should be this judiciary and media. Unfortunately, in our Indian democracy, it is the reverse. These two pillars are still dominated and are almost, you can call it as exclusive clubs. I can understand judiciary because it is a very small, closed club which selects itself. But it is very surprising that media, which varies from regional, vernacular, English, print media to your television media and even social media, is still being maintained in an exclusive fashion. Everything is under the stranglehold grip of an elite group of patriarchal and what to say, some sort of an upper caste domination. So what is it causing? What damage is it causing? The entire narrative is against the majority Bahujans. Let us take any issue. What is this EWS? Have you seen any opposition to it? In any sphere, in anywhere, you see almost the other two arms bending over backwards, and even the judiciary till date not doing anything. While in case of Mandal Commission, which was for more than 50% of the population, there was a huge outcry, and that entire protest movement was due to the media. And the judiciary came in, and what the judiciary did was it diluted it, it stayed it for several years, and even now, when it is on paper, 27% is getting 80 seats, while 10% of EWS is getting 900 seats. There is no one who is questioning that. Have you ever heard anything about this in the media? Have you even heard anyone from the media talking? What is this EWS? Economically weaker section. Which group has the maximum number of economically weaker sections? It's going to be from the bottom of the pyramid, the Varna pyramid, or even the people outside the pyramid. Scheduled tribes, other backward castes, scheduled castes, minorities who come under other backward classes, all these people are excluded. While an OBC quota, which has got the same level of 8 lakhs, certain ranks are excluded from getting the quota, it is called as OBC quota. Similarly, an upper caste quota, it is specifically meant for certain castes which are not covered under SC, ST, OBC. This is being called as EWS quota. Have you heard a single voice which has talked against this sort of a blatant cheating? Why it has not happened? But imagine, like, I remember I was a school student and I was joining college during the Mandal Commission implementation. Almost the entire print media was dominated by article after article, and what to say, in against the Mandal Commission, and it was meant for a group which was not even having a say of 5% out of in any of the four pillars of democracy. In certain states, courtesy leaders with a vision, they have somehow come into the legislature and bureaucracy, but judiciary and media were out of bounds for them even in those states. That was the brutal domination. That was the way, and everyone, the person who is getting quota, he himself feels it is some sort of an injustice. So that has been designed by media. Why it has happened? Yeah, a basic thing. If you are doing something good for the people, it has to be, the people should be happy, the media should be happy, it should be projected about the benefits of that scheme, but it was all not that. And the media was successful, and even now it is successful in making the reservation look as a wrong thing. I'm taking reservation because even for correction of this media domination by an exclusive caste group, there is no other choice than falling in for reservation. That only can make it more inclusive in both the media as well as judiciary. It has to start from the courses, the educational courses, which produce or which gives the students who can join the media. So everywhere there has to be a movement to make it more inclusive. Otherwise, this will continue for several decades. The media will divert it. It will create a hue and cry on trivia. It will try to paint leaders who have risen from the Bahujans as the most corrupt people, as people who will not who will stoop to any level, while at the same time they will maintain very what to say a halo around people just because of their caste. If you notice the leaders who have been hailed by the media, and if you go deep into their own biographies, you will be surprised. You can take the example of the person, our former president Radhakrishnan, who was whose birthday is being celebrated as Teachers Day. How many have read about him? How many have read about his son's autobiography of him? How many have read about his exploits with women, which ranges from his students, his neighbors, even with the working women who are working at his home? How he got all his daughters married before the age of 14? How he was dismissive of women? Nothing. Have you ever heard about it? But if you see any other leader, like say, for example, you take Anna or Periyar or Sheikh Abdullah or Lalu Prasad Yadav, or you have taken the leaders from Nagaland, like the Fizo or our Isaac, anyone, you will see only the negative sides about them. You will never see any positive points about them. That is the most powerful role of the media. My grandfather who had very little education, and he worked in a small petty job for several decades. So he will immediately say, when I talk about Anna or when the name is pronounced, about his connection with some actress, which was again a myth being created, but courtesy the media, that is being circulated. It is being spread even after the death of him, even 30 years after the death of him. But you will never ever heard a word about, and he would have never even read or even got anything to hear about our President Radhakrishnan. So that is the power of the media. Now, with the opening and the improvement in communications, we have got access to quite a bit of books, but still media is being maintained as the stranglehold of a elite group of people. How we should break that? What should be done? For that, we all have to motivate people, youngsters, to join media in a larger way. The more you apply, the more you show interest, the more you are rejected. So naturally, that will create and there will be a time where they will not be in a position to reject people. Another, the political parties should take a stand that there has to be inclusiveness, whether it is print media or the electronic media. It has to start with 50% for women. It is the basic. So once you go with that, once you agree for that in principle, automatically you will agree for all other sort of reservations. It has to be. So how will you talk at this? How many, like, you would have heard about northeastern issues, you would have heard about Jammu Kashmir, Ladakh? How many of the media people are from those areas? Even the same, you will be, why the news about the southern states or Tamil Nadu are not being popular across India in the national English media? It is because of the lack of people from these places. It's not that they are not. Tamil Nadu has got the highest GER. We have around 49% GER, with the entire country it is around 23%. It's not that we lack graduates. It's not just we don't have people who can converse in English, who can be part of English media, because it is in the stranglehold of a elite group who select their own people, who promote their own people. So what is being happening is just plain nepotism. It has to be broken. How it can be broken? We cannot, unfortunately, we cannot take a decision where we can boycott these stranglehold fields, because they form the most important part of our democracy. So it has to be, we have to fight with them. We have to fight for inclusiveness. We have to, our leaders political parties who fight for the Bahujans, they have to be in the forefront so that the media becomes more inclusive. And if you see, very few people have come up from the Bahujans in regional media, and they are being selectively targeted. For what? You would have seen people shouting, "Nation wants to know," who make people like who are baying for blood, who don't like who make create a situation. Say 20 people are killed, they are brutally murdered, and you say no, no, we have got 45 in return, 20 in return. So 8 people have been shot dead. So he is encountered. So they create a situation where you feel they make the people believe that something has been done. We have won. It is like we have done better. So no one is. This will not be done by a Bahujan. He will be worried. The value of life is more for him. He has seen more of death. He has seen losses. He will never be like this. But for a person who is not from a Bahujan background, for him it doesn't matter. It doesn't. For him, it is just like it's sort of a Manu Dharma. You can sacrifice your village for one district. You can sacrifice a district for the sake of one state. This sort of an attitude is there, and that is the reason you find people paying for blood. This is never in our media. Media is there to help people. It is not to create divides. Now what you see in media is they are literally creating enemies. They are the people now who are dominating, and they are forcing the governments. They may even force governments to go on war. They because it makes them divert the issue. Say somebody is fighting for OBC reservation, how they are cheating. So all these things can be sidestepped. It is simple. Just you take an issue and you create it into such a level. You use the word patriotism and you put 4-5 bravery and other things, brave Jawans, all those things. But all other issues will go to the back burner. When country is in such a turmoil, what are you worried about? What will these few thousand seats are going to do? First, we'll sort out all these issues. These issues are non-issues which are just created by the media to maintain their stranglehold in all fields, whether it's the medical field or judiciary or political class. You'll see there will be governments will be toppled. All these things will be happening in the name of, and media will not be. Media will just create another issue so that this blatant cheating of democracy will also be not noticed by the people, and they will make heroes of that. If the same is done by a person who's from the Bahujan background, so that will be hailed as the most corrupt act. Say if someone has formed a Madhu Koda, who was an independent MLA, so he has become a chief minister. That will be made as a big propaganda thing. How it has happened. It's all the lowest day of democracy. All these things. But with 1 seat or 2 seats, suddenly you will find a political party, pulling out people, getting 20 MLAs, 28 MLAs, and say in Manipur, 28 MLAs are won by one party, 21 by another. Means they pull MLAs and they make a government. Those things are all hailed as heroism. But if the same, it's not even it's 1/10 of that. If it has been done by a Bahujan leader, it will be hailed as a corrupt act, and he's spoiling democracy, and how the entry of all these people from all other castes are corrupting, or it is destroying the democracy. That is the way the narrative has been set. So we have to question that. We have to fight against this, and we have to enter the media in large numbers. Unless and until this happens, the narrative will be set by them, and we will be just creating some occasional feeble protests. So we should, whether it is judiciary or media or bureaucracy, everywhere it has to be an absolute level of inclusiveness. Unless and until we reach that level of inclusiveness, all this talk of democracy is just hogwash. It is just domination by an upper caste group. That will only continue. Thank you.
Yeah, would like to ask one more question, which is, why Tamil Nadu media has been always been criticized or else focused in the Twitter trend. Also, they are making mockery of Tamil Nadu news personalities. Why not about others? They are only targeting Tamil medias.
Tamil Nadu is always targeted because they fear Tamil Nadu as a trendsetter. Because Tamil Nadu, to an extent, it has been trying to be inclusive, though it has not been inclusive to all the caste groups to certain amount of say the OBC masses and the minorities. They have been doing certain amount of inclusiveness. So naturally they fear when they see Tamil Nadu is doing well in any field. The, it really raises a question in an Uttar Pradesh or Bihar or a person from Rajasthan. So naturally they fear that, and they want to create a bad name. They want to create that because of this inclusiveness. If you see their medical system is bad, their media is bad, if there will be a very targeted approach against Tamil Nadu. Because if you even I will talk about NEET, basically being a doctor, I talk about, they will target that this is basically done to improve the quality. And what do you mean? What do they mean by that? Tamil Nadu has made it like more than 60% of the seats are going to girls in medical colleges. When Tamil Nadu has removed the entrance exams, Tamil Nadu has achieved things like which are almost impossible with an common entrance like IIT, JEE or AIMS entrance, which have been running for 50 years, but they have not even 10% girls joining in that, and all the reservation seats are going empty because of their funny criteria. People who join IITs are also thrown away within 1 year, saying using all funny criteria. While the same engineering degree is being easily obtained when he studies in a Tamil Nadu government run or Andhra government run or even a private engineering college. So this is the attitude. So basically, they will definitely target whether it is Tamil Nadu media or Tamil Nadu way of selecting medical students or Tamil Nadu's educational system. Say they will say Tamil Nadu may 95% students pass. That is good thing. Tamil Nadu has reduced the dropout rates to less than 1.5%. One should be appreciative of that. But you will hear from this exclusive media that Tamil Nadu educational system has been ruined by the Dravidian governments, especially DMK government, which brought in sort of a Samachir Kalvi, which lowered the educational standards. That is the way. It's not just media alone they are targeting. They will target each and every activity of Tamil Nadu and the Dravidian governments.
That's it. Thank you for joining this meet, sir. Thank you for spending your time for us. Soon we will discuss more on reservation as well as equity-based policies in future. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Thanks a lot.